Hey there, how's it going? Today seemed to be a good day to me to pop outside and see exactly how good this insane stabilization and focus is on the AX53 that I bought recently. So I thought, well, the sunset at the moment is pretty damn spectacular, so I'm going to zoom in a bit and get you some good shots on that and see how it works. Particularly keen to see how good the insane stabilization actually is on this thing, because I'm zooming in a long way, and on a handy cam like this you'd normally expect it to be shaking around like you wouldn't believe. I'd never expect a handy cam to work quite as smoothly as this is looking at the moment. Just in case you're wondering, this is currently zoomed in low light. 30 times on a handy cam. I'm zooming in into a very long shot here, and the light is very low. Just to show you how far zoomed in I am, I'll take a shot straight from here out to wide again. It's that far. And I'm zooming in on that's steady on a handheld handy cam. But anyway, what I'm really going to be doing tonight is going into my father's shed with a couple of cameras and pull out some of the old tools and rusty stuff and old toolboxes and things with really awesome textures, and do some macro photography for an Instagram page. So get myself a new grid going, see what it looks like, and look at the gear I'm using to do it with. In the last few weeks I've been filming videos in my dad's garage, as you've probably seen. Not that many videos, but when I've been doing them, this is where it's been. And today I'm going to be taking the camera that I've been doing most of the shooting with, which is the Sony AX53, this little beast here, which has been proving to be a lot more of a workhorse of a camera than I was expecting it to be. And I'm going to have a look and see how it is for still photos. I'm going to take a whole heap of photos in here now and take them inside, capture them and put them on my Instagram wall. So let's go find some really cool things in here and take some photos of them. A lot of the things in here aren't just my father's, but were from both of my grandfathers as well. There are various tools that have been sort of handed down generationally, and I don't think you can say that much for tools that exist now, that they've been handed down from one person to another. You're lucky if they last from one year to another at the moment. And with all of that, they've got a history and a story of their own too, and that's sort of told in the wear and tear on them. Now, a lot of us travel from one town to another, one city to another, and a lot of things travel with us. And one thing that's always been here for my entire life, as far back as I can remember, is this workbench here, and this vice grip in particular. This is a chunk of metal that I've known since I was, I can remember it back as far as to being 2 years old, I think. My dad will be able to confirm exactly how old it is, but...
Yeah, well, I'm not too sure where that came from, but I know, I'm sure it was pretty old when I got it. And at some stage it might have been Sally's dad's, but I know I've had it for years and years, and it's been really handy. But I remember looking at new ones a long time ago and being horrified at how expensive they were. So when I scored this, I was quite happy with it, and it's done a lot of work ever since.
Yeah, that's something that's always been there, and I've done so many woodworking projects with that. I've learnt to use new tools with that, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, I fully expect to be with me the whole time, and then down to my son as well, I hope. And that workbench is the one that it's been bolted to this whole time as well. Try finding a workbench now that lasts that long. This light is what I'm going to be using to help get the decent kind of shape and everything in these photos. This is an aperture light. I can't remember the model number, It's got a weird model number. I'll put it in the links below and probably up here as well. It takes a standard Sony battery on the back, and it gives great light, and is going to really help me, well, blow out the photos. I'll behave with them. So I'm just clearing a bit of space around this vise at the moment, and then I'm going to set a light up on it just to get a bit of good shape and stuff in it. If I need it, I'll have a look first. And just want to get some really good shots of the texture. I'm not going to clean the sawdust around it because that's just there, it's part of the character. And I'm going to remove some of these new bits of plastic and things around here. When you're taking photos like this, it's a good idea to try and get as many different angles as you can. It's really easy to push the button another dozen times and then start experimenting around it. It's a lot easier to do that while you're here than it is to come back later on, and you might just end up shooting something you didn't think you were going to get. Playing around with a few props like this one as well can be very useful. Make a background less boring, basically, I guess. I'm even going to take some of the sawdust from one side here, add it, just a sprinkle of it around here for accent. It's a little bit of a hack, but you know. Now here's where I'm going to use the light a little bit. I'm just getting a bit too much shadow down on this side, and I just want to flatten it out a little bit so that I don't have so much contrast. It's much easier to darken things down and lighten things up later, so you want to get your image as much in the middle of the histogram that you can. If your camera's got a histogram, use it all the time. Trust the data. What you should always be trying to shoot for over colour and finished product is getting as much data as you can, and that means shooting for texture in every area. So texture in your highlights, texture in your blacks. Don't shoot for rich shadows and bright highlights straight away, because that will just mean you don't have as much to play with later on. Okay, that's a really cool half dozen photos of the vise. Let's carry on and find a few other things to shoot. So there are definitely a few things in here that I had in mind that I wanted to get a photo of, like the vise, and I'm going to pick on a couple more of those right now. But one of the great things about doing a photo macro study of a place like a garage or a shed or something is that you start finding things in here that you hadn't actually noticed before. And that's the same if you're shooting outside, even just in a garden bed. You know, you might be going out to shoot some flowers or some grass with a blurry background or something like that, and then you'll notice say an old broken brick or something that looks fantastic in a photo, or garden ornaments that you didn't know were there that were probably lost 10 years ago by 3 owners ago. All that sort of thing is fantastic stuff to find. Where's this compressor from?
That used to belong to Sally's dad, and he'd had it for lots of years, and he used that in his painting and decorating business. It's pretty old, sort of these days fairly limited application. It just demonstrates that a lot of the old engineering stuff was built to last, and it just didn't break down and kept going. It's quite an early model DeVivlis compressor, and somewhere in amongst all my bits and pieces I still have the original handbook.
Oh wow.
For that compressor.
The great thing about these things is when they're still working.
Well, it's been in my possession for about 35 years plus, and the only thing I've ever had to do to it is replace the plug on the electric cord.
As I was saying before, you just can't match that these days. Thank you. This brace has been around a while too, isn't it? I found one of these in a second-hand store recently.
I would say that's been in the family for 70 years anyway, but I've still got some of the original bits for it as well. Yeah.
That's very cool having the original bits as well. Well, that's how the AX53 seems to work as a photo camera, and I quite like it. I'm fairly impressed with what it's capable of doing. I'm not going to go and throw away my A7 or anything like that, but if I'm out and about and want to take some photos as well as video, I'm going to be more than happy to use this to do that. And it also stands up quite well with long zoom and in low light and all that sort of thing as well, without a hell of a lot of grain in it. So yeah, it's actually a great photo camera. I mean, the Sony video cameras have been great photo cameras for quite a while. Just have a look at the VG series if you want to see how that works. Anyway, that's all I've got for tonight, so I'm going to head off now, finish editing this, have a look at some of these photos, and I will see you probably in a couple of days with a bit of a travel vlog. See you later.